Wow, good morning. Welcome to this morning's edition of Dialogue Box, and we are ready to fly. We are ready to soar, and all that we know is moving upward and forward. We have said it that everywhere you are the one that is in charge. So no matter what maybe you think is the setback or the challenge you might be facing right now, just know that it's only for a while. So pick up all your inner motivations and all that you can do to steer yourself in the right direction and keep moving forward and upward. On this edition of Dialogue Box, we are grateful to God. It's been a wonderful weekend, and at the same time, as we are getting ready for a beautiful week full of beautiful activities, we also like to use today to commemorate and mark the fact that the Nigerian Civil War kicked off on July 6th, 1967. So it's about 53 years now. They would like to look at some facts that are still like glaring facts that Nigeria has to still contend with. And we'd like you to stay with us as we run through all that we have gathered. And in addition to that, looking at the fact that we have to look at the way forward for our beautiful country, Nigeria. Before we get into that, we would like to get some heads up of some of the things that have happened over the weekend. We have some, let's just take a few of them, that the Lagos state government has asked schools to resume. That's primary schools, that's primary 6, GSS 3 and SS 3 to reopen on August 3. So the Lagos state government is making preparations for this. But the only question people are asking is that if schools can open on August 3, markets are open, shopping malls are open, the banks are open, why can't worship centers also open too? Because worship centers is not a place for creating the coronavirus or distributing coronavirus. So we think that the government should look more into this and give Lagosians and even the Ogun state government to the same thing, should give the citizens a more a balanced opinion so that we can move on from there. Then now we have the African Development Bank, who has said that they are ready to support Nigeria's cassava project. That's a newly launched Basic 2 project of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, that is IITA, in the Niger Delta region. So that's a good one from the African Development Bank. So we'd like people to also take advantage of this initiative, since they are facing the Niger Delta region. For now, those in the Niger Delta region can take advantage of this initiative to also improve on agricultural projects around the area. Then we have that over half of Nigeria's rising cases of COVID-19 was recorded in the month of June. And this means that, like we said, we should not just have an issue of higher cases that are being recorded or higher numbers that are being recorded in the COVID-19 challenge. But what is the government doing to reduce these numbers? And for those that are recovering, much more should be done. What we also said was that everyone should know that COVID-19 is not a death sentence. So we no matter who you heard died of COVID-19, several more are recovering. So we should spread hope and we should not spread the fear pandemic. And as a follow-up to that, we also have that in Cross River State, earlier they declared that there was no case of COVID-19 in the state. But the state government, through the Commissioner of Health, has said that about 5 COVID-19 cases have been reported across the state. So we also think that much more should be done to tackle those cases so that it can be contained and it will not spread further. Then also, as a follow-up, Heritage Bank has shut its bank, or rather its branch, in Ikeja over suspected cases of COVID-19. So all in that area should take note that Heritage Bank has said they want to look into, because I think a staff or a casual staff was, just a second, a casual staff was tested positive to the COVID-19, and because of that the bank has decided to shut the branch for now until they sort out all the details. Then moving on, the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS has announced that Nigerians are now to pay stamp duty on house rent and certificate of occupancy. So whatever it is you are doing, maybe in a landed property, whatever it is you are doing in that direction, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is saying that going forward, it is now compulsory for Nigerians to pay stamp duty on house rent. And that is coming from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Then the federal government is to distribute over 38,000 kilograms of improved cashew seeds to farmers across the nation. And the meeting was held in Kogi State. It was a beautiful one, and we say big congratulations to the federal government for supporting agricultural initiatives. That's a good one. Then we also think much more should be done for the Mohammed Adoke Malabu scandal. Is getting to a dimension that is putting our nation in a very bad light. We have that the Italian prosecutor Sergio Spadaro is saying that major Nigerian officials have been named in the deal, and a lot is being done to quench the case. That is the allegation coming from Sergio Spadaro, who is the Italian prosecutor. So he's saying that because a lot of connections have been detected among those who are currently named in the case right now. So whatever needs to be done has to be done fast, because the more the case lingers and even more allegations are coming, that the EFCC is trying to also kind of quench the case, but the EFCC said nothing like that has happened. So it's getting into a controversial state, and we don't want that for our nation. So the federal government and all that are involved should look into this and see to speedy prosecution of those who are involved, and it doesn't have to get to a state where allegations and counter allegations are moving everywhere. Then we also have that the federal government has released $311 million of the Abacha loot to the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, to fund its activities. So all that we are saying is that everything should be done to ensure that the money that has been released to this body is well used for the aim for which it has been released. So it's not just about releasing Abacha loot, but let it be used for the right activities so that it can also be productive. Then as we move on, just a quick one, we have the federal government also donating to the farming project in Kogi State. You know, Kogi is known for a lot of farming activities, and the governor, Yahaya Bello, is doing a lot in that light. So we also want more states across the federation to do much more in agriculture, because that is actually the future of Nigeria. Oil and oil activities are not very sustainable, and considering the fact that global prices have been fluctuating for a while, and that is why we still have issues with the deregulation of the petroleum sector, increments in prices and the rest. So agriculture should have a lot of attention, which the federal government is giving by also donating 115,000 bags of fertilizers to Kogi farmers. Then while we are commending the federal government for this, we have, from the security angle, the Air Force is assuring Nigerians that they will end the war against Boko Haram this year. That is a very strong assurance coming from the Nigerian Air Force. So according to them, they have all it takes. So Nigerians should not be apprehensive that the war against Boko Haram will end this year. So if that is as it has been said, we believe it can be done. So let's work towards ensuring that this statement comes to reality or to fruition, and it should not be frustrated. So these are some of the heads up we have in our activities for this morning. And as we move on, we also would like you to be very, very attentive, and we also need you to send in your comments and your contributions. Just a second. All right, this morning we have the Civil War, the Nigerian Civil War, that has officially kicked off on July 6, 1967, and ended on June 15, 1970, which was a kind of an official agitation from the Biafran movement. a secessionist movement as at that time. So a lot was done to put off the war, and Yakubu Gowon, who was in power, and they succeeded in ending the war after 3 years. But before the end of the war, a lot of lives were lost, close to 100,000 lives as the official figures. Then several people went into starvation. That's between 1 million to 3 million people from the southeast region. A lot of starvation was recorded. So all that has been agitated for, even though we now have one Nigeria with one beautiful flag, but the questions are still on, and we still have the issues of BIAFRA'S secessionist agenda that are still ongoing. So we decided to use today to look at some of those issues. What I'm done to improve on the government's attention to the southeast, so that the sense of, oh, the marginalization is on, and maybe the right attention is not being given to the southeast. We can put off that from the government angle, and from the populist aspect, they will know that indeed a lot is being done to include them in the government system. Apart from inclusion, also the issue of economic empowerment, like all the different areas that have been listed, maybe the establishment of a seaport in that region because of the trading nature of the Igbos generally, who they are more into trading, buying and selling, importation and the rest. So what has the analysts have believed that if a seaport is established in that region, it will also go a long way in helping to meet some of their demands. Even an international airport can be a good one, because that will also help in speeding up their traveling processes out of the country. There's a popular adage that says that there's no place you go to in this world that you'll not find an Igbo man. In fact, according to what the feedback, they said Igbos are everywhere around the world. They are the most traveled, one of the most traveled tribes around the world. So we love our Igbo brothers and sisters. Everybody wants a united Nigerian front. Even though we have the unity in diversity as one of the agenda we are fronting as a nation, but we have to also see to it that the realities of what led to the war are being tackled, and even over 50 years after, what has been done, and do we have enough on ground to give ourselves thumbs up as a nation that yes, we have achieved what needs to be achieved for the Igbo race. So we'd like you to call in, send in your comments, and like we always said, we are not trying to just criticize the government or whoever or whatever agency. What are the solutions you have in mind? What do you think the government should do right now to have a more inclusive government, or the empowerment schemes that need to be carried out in that region, or even for the Igbos themselves? Do you have maybe a kind of a council for people from that region? So we would need you to call in, send in your comments and your contributions, and let's look at this together. What do you think about the Igbo race and how much they have been able to also contribute to the economic empowerment, the economic development of the Nigerian nation? A lot has been done from that angle. Maybe today might not give us sufficient time to look at it. We might decide to look at that tomorrow, talking about the details of how the Igbos have contributed so much to the economic development of Nigeria as a nation. But with all of this, we don't want secession, we don't want war, we don't want conflict, further conflicts in whatever format. So what do we do to put out all of these maybe areas that we think, if these things are not addressed, some of the resultant consequences can be maybe war, which no Nigeria wants. According to some of the aged or those who experience war, they will tell you that if you have seen a war, you will never want to ask for war, because war is not something you have control of. In fact, your life is just like hanging on a balance, and you are never sure of tomorrow. Like we saw that over 1 million people died to starvation, and close to 100,000 were killed in the act of conflict. So nobody wants a repeat of that. So what can we do to work towards a more united front as a nation, where every major race, tribe is included in the federal system, and we don't want more of these ethnicity allegations coming from everywhere. To that effect, call in, send in your thoughts and your comments. Our phone numbers are 090-5252-5107. I take that again, 090-5252-5107. So call us and let's know what you think about this. Then while you are calling in, 5252-5017. So as you are calling in, give us all the reactions you think. Okay, I think I need to correct that. They will put the number on the screen right now. You can see it too. Wherever you are, you can call in. So let me have that on the screen right now from our wonderful team. So what is your take? What is your comment? What is your contribution to this? Having July 6th, which is today in history, we know that it was a day that a war like the Nigerian Civil War officially was kicked off. But now, 53 years later, do you think it has achieved its course? The actualization of the targets and the objectives, has it been met? And what more can be done to work towards avoiding a possible conflict that can lead to war? They also have the issues of parents. Some parents are concerned that the Nigerian Civil War is not being taught in secondary schools. A lot of the curriculum right now is not reflecting much of the Nigerian Civil War. So a lot of young people don't even know whether Nigeria has ever been to war. They don't understand what war means, and they don't even know the effect. So the agitations are also rising that the Nigerian war should be fully included in the curriculum of education. Even if you want to maybe douse it or say something to the young people to let them know that there is no need for tension, it is not by erasing it or removing it from the curriculum. So that's another angle. What do you think about all of this? Send in your comments and your contributions right now. Don't forget, our aim, our target is to work towards a united Nigeria, more productive. And as we are doing this, we are also contributing to service. We are working towards more an improved front where everybody is proud to be a Nigerian. Being a Nigerian is not just something that is a sentimental, okay, I just feel like, no. It is something that we are all working towards. So let's do what it takes, and the realities need to be given attention to. So I take it again, Nigerian Civil War, which officially started on July 6, 1967. It ended on June 15, 1970. This is 53 years after the war kicked off. What has been done to achieve and actualize some of the agitations that led to that secessionist agenda? So do you think we have done enough in this? And if possible, what should the government do, or even the people do, to have a renewed mindset so that we won't have so much of continued agitations in that regard? So we don't want, areas where it's like when you get to the grassroots, they feel they are not part of the center. No, that's not the best for us as a nation. And don't forget, on BlossomNigeria, we also promote patriotism. So we believe that for us to do better as a nation, we need to be more patriotic. And what does the patriotism agenda, what does it push? It simply tells us that we have a stake. You have a stake, I have a stake, and I can work towards the improvement, just call it anything you want, but what is the most important thing is that you are a stakeholder, you have your quota to contribute. So send us your comments and your contributions right now. So the phone number on the screen, or is on the screen right now, 090-5252-5017. All right, I have a call coming in. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost that call. So the person will have to call back. Let's have that call again. So then while that person is calling, you can also call now. The numbers are on the screen. Send in your comment. You can type and send it in. You can call. Let's hear your voice and get your live reaction. So the government of Nigeria, how far have we gone so that we can avoid a possible conflict, secession that can get stronger, and even war, which we know nobody wants war. We want peace. We are preaching peace. But for us to achieve peace, we also have to address the issues on ground. So if you are watching from wherever you are watching us from, you are free to call in. You are free to send us your comments and your contributions. And like we say, have a solution in mind. All right, we have a comment here coming from Grace Emmanuel. All right, sorry, let's take that call. Another call has come in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, good morning, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? We lost that call again. So I'm sure the person will call back. So maybe it's a network problem. So let's get us to try to call again and let's have your opinion. So like as I was reading Grace Emmanuel's comment, she said, wow, or rather, it's 53 years now. Wow, the world, or rather the wound is still so fresh in the heart of the affected ones. My recommendation is that everyone get past the war. Everyone should forget trying to prove a point for their tribe. We should live our lives for us in the present and for the future, putting the past in the past. War is not what we need now. We do not have enough resources to live comfortably, not to talk of going into war. So Grace Emmanuel believes that we should avoid anything that should lead or can lead to war. Then she says, on behalf of Nigeria, I apologize to every tribe. Let's forgive and move on. Definitely, we have moved on. Thank you so much, Grace Emmanuel, for that. We have moved on, but a lot of underlying currents are still there. People think that, oh, government has still not done enough for the East. And the issue of marginalization is still there. So we still have areas where most people believe that if government can give a little more attention to some infrastructural development in that region, maybe it can also help to, let me use the word, buy over the Igbos to form a more united front. But do you think so? And if that is the case, I mentioned one or two that we've gotten so far. Agitations for a seaport, agitations for an international airport, that most of those kind of what the government can put in place in those areas can also help in the movement of goods and services, considering the fact that the Igbos are very, very well traveled and they do a lot of trading, a lot of buying and selling. So we have a lot of them in different countries, not just because they are going for maybe studies, but primarily most Igbos travel for business, not for studies. So studies can be taken care of according to their slogan, but what matters is how to make money first in that sense. So we also said that with this, they have contributed a lot to the Nigerian economy. So we'll look more at that tomorrow. But for today, what do you think the government should do, or even the Igbo people should do? But like Mercy has said, let's forgive and move on. As we are forgiving and moving on, are we sure we are carrying everybody along? And what can we do so that we or our children will not see a repeat of some of those deadly actions? So we are still waiting for you to send in your comments and your contributions. Get into your material and let us have what you are writing. Okay, now we have Joy Chinedu Samuel. She says, BlossomNigeria, you are doing a great job. I'm really impressed with what you are doing. Thank you so much, Joy Chinedu Samuel, for that word of encouragement. Says, I'm always eager to join you daily. Thank you so much. But Joy Chinedu Samuel, we also know that you are a very good analyst. So send us your thoughts. Has the government done enough for the East? And you told us on Friday that you were calling from the East. So if you are calling from the East, what do you think the government needs to do more to help that region to have a better sense of inclusiveness in the federal government, and what to be done to prevent further conflict? And even for those who are still agitating for maybe Biafra's actualization and the rest, do you think they are doing the right thing? And if not, what is your advice and your counsel for them? All right, so Joy Chinedu Samuel is already responding. She says, please, the federal government need to increase amenities in the eastern region. We mentioned one, the building of a seaport, the building of an international airport. But you know, when you talk about amenities, it's mostly a general challenge in Nigeria. Almost every region has the same agitations. Infrastructural deficit is a major problem in Nigeria. So what and what can the government do? So even though the East, they may have areas where they think the government has not done enough, but like what Joy Chinedu Samuel is saying, they can actually increase amenities in the eastern region, but not to the detriment of other regions. It can be balanced, but more attention should be given to the improvement and the provision of infrastructural amenities across the nation. Thank you so much, Joy Chinedu Samuel, for that. What do you think the proponents of those who are agitating for Biafra, what should they be thinking right now? Because we are saying that we want a unified front. We want peace in Nigeria. We don't want war. We don't want secession. So what will you tell a man or woman who has lived all his life with the ideology, rather, that one day there will be a Biafran nation? What would you say to such an individual? We also like you to send in your thoughts and your comments right now. Then I also made mention of the fact that right now the Civil War is not given the right attention in our secondary schools. Most secondary schools, in our curriculum right now, there is no major case of the Civil War being taught. So even though the vice president last year, 2019, tried to get the curriculum to be revised and reversed to that effect, a lot more still needs to be done, because most of this year it has been COVID-19 since March. So we still have cases where we think that has not been fully implemented yet. So don't you think the young people need to know about this war? Should it be something that should be maybe erased from the textbooks or from the curriculum, so that they won't even have an idea, except for those maybe who go to the internet and they stumble on it by themselves? Apart from that, nobody is telling them to maybe give attention to it, and a lot of schools believe that it will create more tension. So while we are doing this, don't forget that we have time to consider. So we'll give you a few more minutes to send in your thoughts and your comments, so that we can give a final solution to the government and to all the individuals on this. So we also have Grace Emmanuel that responded by saying, as for the marginalization, I believe that every tribe should stand for themselves and make it. If the government wouldn't give you attention as a tribe, give yourself the attention and put together your resources and help yourselves. When they see how much we have done for ourselves and how much we make for yourself, they will take us more serious. But I think, Grace Emmanuel, you have to consider the fact that we are currently not running a regional system of government, or a system where there is state autonomy. So if you say everybody control your resources by yourself, then that means we should also tell ourselves the truth, that the federal system where everything goes to the center, even though we can still have a federal government, but not in the sense where regions and everybody have to depend on the federal government for allocation, monthly allocation. So whatever it is, we have to give our states and the regions the opportunity to develop at their own pace based on their resources. Then for those who don't have enough, they can get some support. But when everything is still on that centralized aspect, that's where the challenge still is. So Mercy, that's the issue from the angle you are looking at it. Until the government or the federal lawmakers make an adjustment to that, it may never be realized. So we have to also work towards that. All right, then we have Joy Chinedu Samuel saying, like you said, Igbos travel not for studies but for business. They are natural business gurus. That's a good one. The Igbos think they are being marginalized. That's why they are very or rather, that's why they are advocating for Biafra. They feel they are not being carried along in Nigeria, and the Igbos are being denied major political offices. So, with these thoughts, I think that what the government needs to do is for, just like what Grace Emmanuel just said now, yes, ma, I support regional system of government. And also based on what Joy Chinedu Samuel just sent in right now, she believes that the major challenge that the Igbos are having is that they think they are not being carried along. And that's what we also said earlier, the sense of inclusiveness is not there. So for the government to fully address these agitations, they should use a day like this to really reflect on the fact that if on a day like this, a war officially kicked off in the southeast region that led to the death of close to 100,000 people in the war front, and close to 3 million people died out of starvation, is terrible. If you actually watch some of the video reports, you want to cry. So for that, we are saying that Nigeria should look more into these issues and address them. Don't ignore them, and don't pretend as if those things are not there. They are there. They are underlying currents that, if you don't address well, can lead to more conflicts and likely war, which we are kicking against with everything. And we are saying that no to war, no to conflict, no to any form of maybe bloodshed or violence and the rest. But for us to achieve that, address these issues, create more opportunities for the Igbos to be included in the government, and also work towards the provision of more amenities for that region. The one that we think the government should also do well to start right now is create a seaport, build a seaport. They don't need to come to Apapa to come and clear goods and sometimes take days in clearing goods, when they can also get some of these things done if they have a seaport in the east. Onitsha has a very good waterway that can accommodate that, and even some other parts of the east. So these are some of the agitations of the Igbo, and we believe that the federal government should do more to attend to this. But at the same time, the Nigerian people, we should also work with the mindset that we are all included, and we are all to contribute our quota to the building of a better and a stronger Nigeria. And for us to have that sense, we must know that we are patriotic, we have a sense of responsibility to our nation. And just like what Mark Awa said, let me quickly take this before we go. Say the Nigerian Civil War brought on untold hardship to eastern Nigeria. Many lives were lost and the region was greatly impoverished. So based on the horrible experience of the Civil War, I wouldn't support the Biafran agitation. However, the government and the two major political parties should look into the region and zone the 2023 presidency to them. That's what Mark Awa believes. So whatever be the case, even if they don't get the presidency, the right political appointments should get to them. They should have a sense of inclusiveness. More amenities should be given to the Igbo land, not just because they want to give attention to them to the detriment of others, but because these are the basic things that are required to also develop the region. And as we work towards this, let's also remember that our federal lawmakers, they have a responsibility to work on the current constitution so that we can have more of state autonomies and have a system where regions can have full control of their resources, and as they do that, they can develop at their own pace. And when they do that, we'll have less of these agitations. Thank you so much for staying with us this morning. This is Dialogue Box on Blossom Nigeria. We'll be here tomorrow again. We'll still discuss the economy tomorrow, and also how the Igbos have contributed positively to improving the Nigerian economy. A very resourceful tribe indeed. So we thank God for them, and at the same time, let's address these issues and see how we can build a stronger and a better Nigeria. Thank you so much for staying with us on Dialogue Box. We'll see you tomorrow.